Hey, what's going on, guys? Battle Nations Emperor here, back today with another video. And today, guys, we have part 4 in our Boss Strike series. This will be the second to last episode in our Boss Strike series for Battle Nations 101. The next one will be 6 Boss Strikes, just because, unfortunately, it's not divisible by 5. The final Boss Strike was Boss Strike 21, so instead of doing next episode with 5 Boss Strikes and then like one more with just 1 Boss Strike, I'll just include 6, the last remaining in the next part, which should be part 4. But for today, part 3, we have Boss Strikes 11 through 15, a very good bunch. And before we jump into this video, I want to make a quick clarification from our last video. For the company making the new Battle Nations, I unintentionally mispronounced their name in the last video. I kept calling them Mad Rona games, like Mad Rona, like the coronavirus, which that's not how you're supposed to say it. The correct pronunciation is right here. It's Madrona, like M and then Drona. That's how you're supposed to say it. I kept saying mad like the aggression, and then Rona like coronavirus, but that is the incorrect pronunciation. The correct pronunciation is M and then Drona, like the tree or the city in Seattle. But just wanted to give that quick clarification. Apologize for the last video and the mispronunciation. Going forward, we'll know how to pronounce it, or at least I'll know how to pronounce it correctly. And just wanted to get that out of the way. Without any further ado, let's jump right into the Boss Strikes. So the first one, we have the return of Evelyn Aceheart for her Boss Strike number 11. And here's what we have on it. It is the first Boss Strike to allow voting for the aircraft, so this was a new gimmick for this Boss Strike. So in this Boss Strike, instead of just them randomly selecting it or trying to throw in a few new airplanes, they actually let the community vote. I believe it was on Facebook. I couldn't find on the wiki the definitive site, but I could not find any forum posts, and the wiki's really good about keeping us up to date on the forum. And I'm pretty sure I remember this being on Facebook. I don't think I voted myself, but I had friends who voted. I'm pretty sure they were talking about being on Facebook. So while not confirmed, I'm pretty sure it was on Facebook. Nevertheless, the community did vote for all 3 of these, from the Maverick to the Thundercloud to the Boar. So very nice that the community got to decide these 3 units. The only bad side is none of these units were new. This was the first Boss Strike to have no new units, no new aircraft, unfortunately. However, it did kind of make up for that in the fact that it gave us a very cool animal. It gave us the Legendary Raptor, the Legendary series being, of course, multiple different regular animals from the the main Battle Nations campaign, from the Raptor, the Boar, Mammoth, Sandworm. They all got legendaries. This was the Legendary Raptor's turn. Just like all the other legendary units, an extremely powerful raptor that has immunity to fire, stun, poison, high defense to fire, piercing, and crushing damage. Of course, he matches your level like all the other legendaries and trains in under a minute, just like all the other legendaries. He is expensive at 89 nanopods, but certainly worth it, of course, being a legendary beast. And these, of course, are the 3, the Maverick, Sky Thunder, and the Boar 2. Unfortunately, the reintroduction of the Boar 2 did cause a little bit of controversy, simply because they had already ripped off the Boar 1 with the Boar 2, so a lot of people were already upset at the Boar 2, and this is the second re-release of the Boar 2. The Boar 2 was originally available in a previous Boss Strike, but now it was relaunched in Boss Strike 11 with Evelyn Aceheart. Nothing too terrible. It's just a factor of, these units were at one point considered limited edition, and now they're kind of be given away every Boss Strike. It's either something that, rubbed you the wrong way, or you just kind of really didn't care about it. I was just viewing it as me getting more airplanes, so at the time, playing as a teenager on the OG Battle Nations, I didn't really care. I just loved the grind for the Boss Strike, if you will. But yeah, there were some players, specifically Boar players, who were, of course, upset at Boar 2 being reused. So going right into the next Boss Strike, we have Boss Strike 12, and this one's very interesting. This one is the Raider Warlord Challenge. So this is led by Gantus and the other Raider Warlords. They launch a full Boss Strike with metal detectors. This is a Boss Strike very unique. It's the first Boss Strike to not have a unique unit. Normally they have a unique character made up for Boss Strikes, normally not in the base campaign or any other reference. They're just made for the Boss Strike, and they're a poster child for the Boss Strike. I mean, this is the main Raider from the campaign, so very interesting that they decided to throw him into the mix. It is also unique in the factor that they had what was called a metal detector for your enemies, or for your troops, so you could not put in any vehicles, planes, tanks, or any other metal classified unit. So that would take out a lot of people's army. I can personally attest to once we got to boss strike 12, I was certainly relying on a lot of my planes, so this one certainly hurt me. Definitely given a nice little challenge for the boss strike, so you can definitely see they were trying to make it interesting, even if they didn't have the funding or time to make new boss strike, airplanes and, new gimmicks. They at least, you could tell they were trying to still make it entertaining, so very nice on old Z2 for that. This was also the first boss strike to give you 2 aircraft for a single tier. So if we go over here to the tier section, this is where it talks about the metal detector. No vehicles for their boss strikes. Let's see what we can get past their metal detectors. The more waves of enemies you defeat, the more prizes you and your guild will earn, including exclusive flying units. And this is the tier system I was telling you gentlemen about. If you look at tier 7 right down here, you can see it gave you not just an attack drone, but 2 attack drones. So the attack drone was previously given out during another boss strike. This was its re-release, but not only could you re-get it, you got 2 of them. And it did make sense because the attack drone was a very underwhelming unit for some players. I personally had no issue with it. Basically, it was a very small health flying unit that had 1 attack, a missile attack, where it just shot off those little missiles, as you can see right there, and did explosive damage. For what it was, I thought it was great, just reminiscent of a real-life military attack drone, so I had no problem with it, but I understand some people's frustration, especially with being a limited edition boss strike unit. But for this right here, they gave you 2 to kind of make up for that, so definitely nice on them. And then tier 10 is the Falcon's Nest, which, I wouldn't say it's the best tier 10, but certainly a good tier 10, especially since it was a previous tier 10. The promotional unit was Jared, I hope I'm saying that right, for 69 nanopods, nice. And this is what he looked like, a very uniquely designed Battle Nations character, as you can see right here. With the mustache that grappled 1,000 men, crush your enemies with powerful, back-breaking, and rock-throw attacks. Finish them off with a devastating strong knee, they'll beg for mercy. Again, tagline the Crusher, a very unique unit for boss strike, but I'm kind of glad they did, because I do like him. I do like the attempt at something a little bit weird. One of the very few boss strike soldiers to show his face without a mask. Almost every unit in this game has a helmet or a mask, but he just straight up shows it with those white soulless eyes. And finally, the last thing to note about is let's see, go back over here to my notes. It introduced the Tri-Wing of Terror, which if we scroll over here, we can see this is the Tri-Wing of Terror. And this is the Scorpion, a previous boss strike unit, because I wanted to make sure to preview it as well, because I thought it was just reusing it, but this was a brand new air unit at the time. It was called the Triple Terror, and this is what was previously used in other boss strikes called the Scorpion. As you can see, very similar design. This was the tier 7 attack drone, as we talked about. You get 2 of them. And this is the Falcon's Nest. So overall, a very good boss strike. And then going straight into boss strike 13, the return of Sho. And if you've been keeping up, this is her 3rd return. So she returns again with her Silver Wolf armies. And this boss strike was unique in the factor that it introduced what was called wave challenges. So wave challenges, as you can see right down there, it was for level 40 pluses. These tough challenges begin randomly, huge bonus multiplier for finishing the final wave of the challenge. So it would basically be an extremely beefed up and buffed up version of a regular boss strike wave, and if you could beat it, the multiplier for the amount of boss points you would get was massive. So it could be a huge help to your guild if you guys were held back, and sometimes you'd actually want to hunt for the challenge waves, especially if you were grinding out boss strike points and you were confident in your formation not taking too much damage. So again, you could tell they were trying to keep up the pace. Very nice on them. Also, all Silver Wolf units, would gain fire damage immunity over time. As you can see right here, this was not for the entirety of the game, it was only for the duration of the event, and it was also given to all Silver Wolf units. So if you yourself had trained some Silver Wolf units through the building, and you get an inlay campaign where you can train Silver Wolves, I believe it's called the Mercenary Shop or something along those lines, it allows you to train your own Silver Wolf units. So if you have those, they also get this benefit. It's not just for the enemy Silver Wolves, it gains to you as well. So again, a very nice little package that they gave us there. I just want to show this too, because Shro would be given, this is her 3rd boss strike, by the way, and they just reused this image of her, but she would be reused 2 more times, and they would reuse this image of her again. Just crazy because of how popular she was, and they only used this image once, her 1st boss strike. and they would use this one for this boss strike, and the 2 boss strikes she would be in afterwards. Again, just crazy that this is the only 2 images they gave her for such an overwhelmingly popular character within the community. Just a little interesting. The limited edition unit for the time would be the Elemental Rover, as we can see here. Immune to all elements, fire, cold, stun, poison, etc., all damage over time, and automatically matching to your level. 79 nanopods, but with immunity to all elementals, you could definitely argue it being worth it. And this is some concept art they had with his page I thought you guys would like. Incredible design to detail. And these were the 3 units you were given. Tier 3, Tier 7, both a repeat, and then the Tier 10, which was unique at the time, as this was the first time a tank was given for Tier 10. This bad boy was awesome. This was the Silver Wolf tank, and he was very powerful. He was basically just a beefed up super tank. He wasn't as strong as a mega tank, I don't believe. He didn't have the stats of a mega tank, but he was a super tank, so very strong. And also, as you can see, had those chains right there that can spin on the wheel as an extra attack. He has a minigun at the very top which does damage, and of course the 2 cannons on front like a regular tank. So again, even though this was the 3rd return of Sho, still trying to keep it interesting, still trying to keep boss strikes upbeat, still love it. Going into boss strike 14, we have the return of Yulzuk, the Raptor trainer. This was the first boss strike to have a specific element boosted for everybody. So while the last one gave immunity to certain Silver Wolf units, this one would just give a boost to all fire attacks. So their fire attacks, your fire attacks, all fire would be increased during this, which is also kind of funny because they specialized in raiders and critters. I mean, you know, raiders and animals. That's what all of this boss strike was. So if you had strong fire units, you could blow through these waves because that's exactly what ate them up, fire. So you could definitely take it to your advantage. And if you can make an all-formation army of fire units, you could just whip through these waves. They did improve the challenge wave system, adding a few mechanics. Not entirely sure what the depth of it was, because the wiki doesn't go into too much detail, but they did improve the system. See, yeah, it's a little challenge wave there, but instead this time, instead of Silver Wolf, this time it's Raiders. The promotional unit was the Summoner for 59 nanopods. Harness the Summoner's power to command a swarm of sandworms against your foe. Very strong unit that, again, I, as a kid, weirdly enough, thought it was summoning raiders. I thought that's why it was called the Raider Summoner. No, it's a raider. The Summoner is a raider, as you can see. It just happens to summon sandworms. I'm not sure if anybody else had that confusion, but I just wanted to throw that in there because I thought it was a little bit funny. But looking back at it, you can definitely see, oh yeah, it was a summoner of animals, not a summoner of humans. These were the 3 airplanes you got. The Tier 3, Tier 7, and Tier 10, and a little bit of controversy in this Tier 10, as it was a direct copy of this bad boy right here. However, the kind of bright side of it, if you will, is unlike the Boar 1 and Boar 2, where the Boar 2 is literally just an improved version of the original. So not only did the OG players kind of feel, you know, screwed over as they had their troop re-released, but also in just a better condition. This was the OG and had many benefits over this. This did have its benefits, but it did not beat the OG. And just make sure I get their names right. The Shadow Hornet and the Shadow Wasp. And that is the name of these 2 bad boys. The Shadow Hornet and the Shadow Wasp. Again, despite reusing it, you can still tell they tried to put a little bit of different paint job. Made the boss strike itself interesting. I would say another good boss strike for the books. And finally, for today's video, we have boss strike number 15, the Return of the Infected. This would be a very unique boss strike, not just the factor of it was the Return of the Infected, but they would give you 4 reward units, all at different tiers. So normally, instead of our 3, 7, and 10, we would get 3, 5, and 8. I'm sorry, 3, 5, 8, and 10, respectively. So this was, of course, Tier 10. Battle together to earn exclusive Apex Infected units. This bad boy, the Infected Mauler, of course, being the pinnacle. Awesome looking unit. And this is what I was telling you, gentlemen, about the different tier system. As you can see, we have the regular Tier 3 Apex Bullfrog, just like the last infected boss strike. But here we have the Apex Stalker, which was initially a Tier 7 in the last one, being brought down to a Tier 5. And if we go over here, we see the old Tier 10, the Colossal, which was Tier 10 in the last Halloween boss strike, is now a Tier 8. And of course, Tier 10 is the Specimen Apex Mauler. The promotional unit for this boss strike was the Zombie Slayer, a throwback to the Zombie Hunter. Interesting fact about the Zombie Slayer, she is the 3rd confirmed female troop in the game. Commented by Morgan, who refers to as a she right here. I hope she knows this is a seasonal position, implying that she won't have a job after the boss strike. And then Ramsey, who straight up calls her beautiful here. Let's see. She's beautiful at the end of the reward screen. Of course, at the mission, I was looking for exactly where he said it, and yeah, he says it on the reward screen. She's beautiful. So, interesting the fact that they declared her gender and the fact that Ramsey called her beautiful. And this would overall be considered a great boss strike as well. The biggest downside would just be the factor of they did re-release the zombie units, which a lot of people were upset about, because while you know, they had released boss strike units at this point, and it was understood that these units weren't limited edition, they weren't exclusive, some people did consider the zombie special, the infected unit special. So a lot of people were upset. As for me personally, as somebody who got these units when they first came out, I had no issue with it. I was just glad I could get, you know, some duplicates, if you will. But I do understand the people who, you know, really liked the limited edition aspect of it and the betrayal some of them might have felt. This was Tier 3, this was Tier 5. So the Bullfrog, the Striker, Tier 5. Tier 8, the Colossal. And then Tier 10, the Mauler. So probably one of the last strong boss strikes, because even though, you know, there was a little bit of controversy with them re-releasing the infected units, it was still an awesome boss strike. They gave us this awesome girl as a promotional unit. Here's some art I found of her on the wiki that I thought you gentlemen might like. Just wanted to leave it on the screen for a second for anybody who'd like to take a second to appreciate it. And this was her promotional. She brought her crossbow and katana for one thing and one thing only: killing zombies. Even she calls zombies. Man, Floyd must be so pissed. But yeah, guys, that would be Boss Strike 15, and that will just about do it. Well, actually, before we wrap it up, promotional art for the Striker. Again, just awesome promotional unit. And that will truly do it for us today, guys. So just wanted to get back into the groove of things. Felt pretty cool making this video, especially just reading about how they kind of did the boss strikes in the final stretch. Don't think the next video will be Boss Strike Part 4. I'm probably going to try to do another 101, Battle Nations 101 on something else. But within the next few days, we'll definitely have Boss Strike Part 4, the finale, out. So that way we'll have the entire catalog of all Boss Strikes 1 through 21 documented on this channel. But anyway, guys, I'd like to thank you very much for watching this far. If you liked the video, please consider dropping a like down below. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to the channel if you are new. And without any further ado, that will truly do it for us today, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, have a great rest of your day.